Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestle News 365. Hope everyone is doing very, very well, having a good Tuesday. As always, it's the night after Monday Night Raw, so there is a ton, as always, to get into today, specifically in the news story. So let's get straight into the news. Let's start off with WWE announcing the Raw Legends Night last night during Monday Night Raw. Now, WWE has announced that the first Raw of 2021 will be Legends Night. It was announced last night that January 4 episode of Raw will be a Legends Night on USA Network. And we have seen during the advert, but also now WWE on WWE.com has advertised more than 20 legends, superstars, and Hall of Famers for the special episode next year. Now, here is the listing of the names that have been announced so far for the Raw Legends Night on the first episode of Raw in 2021. We have Alicia Fox, Beth Phoenix, The Big Show, The Boogeyman, Booker T, Candice Michelle, Carlito, Hillbilly Jim, Hulk Hogan, IRS, Ivory, Jacqueline, Jeff Jarrett, Jimmy Hart, Kurt Angle, Mark Henry, Melina. Interesting about Melina, not returning to WWE apparently, but she's on that list. Michael P.S. Hayes, Mickie James, Ric Flair, Sergeant Slaughter, Tatanka, and Tori Wilson. Now, when I saw this announced during the episode of Raw last night, I thought like everyone else thought, ratings. It is so transparent. It is a ratings grab. And I think I mentioned this before when we spoke about Raw, because Raw is in such a state of, I don't want to say turmoil, but behind the scenes, you probably could use that phrase at the moment, because obviously last week's episode of Raw, if you're not aware, last week's episode of Raw drew an all-time record low in viewership. In the key demographic, every single hour, 1, 2, and 3 drew all-time record low viewerships and demographics. It was also beaten in the key demographics for every hour by the previous week's episode of AEW Dynamite. So in that key demographic, that 18 to 49 demographic, AEW Dynamite on TNT, while they drew in less viewers, they did a better number in the demographic, the key demographic, which is what the cable networks and the advertisers care about. So obviously there was a lot of fallout from that last week. There was a variety of reports about that last week. We heard that officials backstage at WWE were shocked and were unhappy about the news. We then heard that officials and higher-ups in WWE got the message and they were going to be making changes to Monday Night Raw. Then there was a report that USA Network officials were furious and wanted more adult and edgy material and content on Monday Night Raw. And then we had the report that some reactionary changes were going to happen. And I mean, first of all, WWE saying they got the message. I said this at the time when I saw those reports saying WWE gets the message, they're shocked, they're angered, but they get the message, don't worry, changes are going to come. I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it. And I think I've kind of been proved right. And I think the people that were sort of just shaking their heads at those reports of WWE gets the message have been proved right by this announcement. This is purely a ratings grab. The reason they're doing this is because they always do this. It is so predictable. The cycle just continues and continues and continues. And every time they do it, the ratings will go up, like it will in 2 weeks' time for the episode of Monday Night Raw, the Raw Legends Night. The ratings will go up and they'll say, see, we did a good number. Raw can still do a good number. And then inevitably, in a couple of months' time, when WrestleMania's come and gone, and we get into that period of the year when once again no one cares about WWE television because the writing reflects that, the content reflects that, the numbers will go down once again. We'll have new record lows. Then we'll have more reports that WWE is shocked and angered, but they get the message about this new record low that's inevitably coming. And reactionary changes will come soon, and they get the message, and then the USA Network is unhappy. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I see these concepts, right? So the Raw Legends Night in a couple of weeks' time, like that's going to make any difference to the grand state of Monday Night Raw. That's not going to make any grand change to Monday Night Raw. Like I said, will the rating go up for that night? Of course it will, because one, it's heavily promoted. You're hyping it 2 weeks in advance. You've got these legends returning, some names, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, right? Like, they will help draw a rating, even at their age, they will help draw a rating. But it is a band-aid. It is a band-aid on a show that is bleeding viewers. I mean, it's the equivalent of a ship sinking. And you see one hole that's leaking in water, and you put your finger over the hole for 5 seconds and then go, see, stopped it sinking, and then it carries on sinking. That is literally what this night, it is a desperate attempt to bring in viewership. It is so transparent and so just laughable. It's laughable. Now, I'm sure the episode in a couple of weeks' time, it'll be great. There'll be some nostalgia. There'll be some interactions, but it will still be a 3-hour show. It will still be a show that will be tough to watch in certain places. And then the following week, it will be back to your regular, boring episode of Monday Night Raw that is 3 hours long, that is not must-see, that is difficult to watch. And you can find out everything that happened on that episode of Monday Night Raw in 3 minutes the following day on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or wherever you want to look. It is not must-see TV. Even when you get the legends back, it will do a little bit of a better rating. I don't know how high that rating will be, but it's not going to save Monday Night Raw. It just isn't. It just isn't going to save Monday Night Raw because the issues when it comes to Monday Night Raw are far, far bigger. They are far bigger than wheeling out Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair for one night and hoping that does a rating. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the idea that WWE gets the message and changes are coming to Monday Night Raw. We're going to make some changes. We're going to make sure it's a good show and we can hook the viewers in. We're going to make some real significant alterations to the red brand. Watch that episode of Raw last night because there was nothing must-see about that show last night. Maybe one segment with Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton that genuinely caught my attention. But apart from that, once again, it was a 3-hour show that was incredibly boring, incredibly difficult to watch, and it's no real reflection on the talent. I always have to stress this. It's no real reflection on the talent. I'm not saying the talent's bad. I'm not saying the talent aren't good wrestlers. I mean, they're handcuffed beyond belief. They can only do, at this point, what they're told to do and say what they're told to say. But the writing on that show and the recaps, how many recap packages did we see last night? Before every single segment, we saw a recap package, and it just felt like, once again, one of those traditional throwaway holiday episodes of Monday Night Raw that if you don't watch it, you don't miss anything. And if you did want to catch up on what happened last night on Monday Night Raw, there is a variety of highlight packages on YouTube today from WWE or other accounts, and it's probably about 3, 4, 5 minutes long, and you spared yourself 3 hours last night. That's why the show is losing ratings, because there is nothing must-see about it. There is nothing must-see about it. And it's the same with this Legends Night. Great, we get to see Alicia Fox back on Monday Night Raw and Hillbilly Jim. Awesome, great. It'll be interesting to see him back. Like I said, great nostalgia. But the idea that this could fix Monday Night Raw, it will improve the Raw rating for one night and one night only. And if anything, it's a bit of indictment on WWE's booking as well, that they think, oh, we need to get a rating, we need to get viewers. Let's wheel back over 20 people that barely work for us anymore, that actually they're under probably a Legends contract, but in reality, they don't work for us anymore. How on earth is that a good reflection on the current roster? You are saying that everyone currently under contract that is a full-time member of the Raw roster is not good enough to draw a rating. I suppose it's true because they haven't and they can't. So you have to wheel back in Michael Hayes and Sergeant Slaughter and IRS to draw a rating. I mean, what does that say about your ability to book talent? I mean, it's horrific. You're owning yourself and the people on the roster. I saw this and I just shook my head. And again, it's not a diss to the legends that are booked for that show. It'd be great to see them again on the TV screen, but it's one night. It's one night, and the issues for Monday Night Raw are far bigger than bringing over 20 legends back for one night. And I'm sure the USA Network are happy because they'll do a decent number that night. Will they do over 2 million viewers? I don't even know. And the idea at this point that Raw doing over 2 million live viewers, they're going to be really happy and high-fiving each other about that, shows you how far that they have fallen. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I saw it. I shook my head because you just know what it is. You know what it is. Every time the ratings are down, we have a Raw reunion, an old school Raw, a Raw Legends Night, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. It's all about the ratings, and it will get a rating for 1 week and 1 week only. And then later on next year, we'll do the same thing over and over again. The record low Raw, the reports that come out about people being upset and unhappy, and then we do this all again. And it's just beyond frustrating at this point because you know, it's so inevitable. It's so inevitable. Nevertheless, let's move on to something that did happen last night during Monday Night Raw. As I mentioned, arguably one of the only good things to come out of Raw last night was the return of Alexa Bliss. Now, Alexa Bliss returned to WWE Monday Night Raw last night on this week's show. She revealed that WWE is referring to... she had a sort of a weird setup behind her. She had a swing, a bit like a playground, and it's almost a haunting version of her A Moment of Bliss talk show. The setup featured Alexa Bliss swinging on a swing set with other toys in the ring in what she called Alexa's Playground that was apparently built for her. by The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Now, the segment began with Randy Orton coming to the ring. He discussed his Firefly Inferno win over The Fiend at Sunday's TLC pay-per-view. Orton then discussed how he enjoyed every second of watching The Fiend burn in the middle of the ring on Sunday night, noting that the stench of The Fiend's burning flesh has still lingered in the middle of the ring. Now, he also talked about the voices in his head being gone now that he has burned the Fiend away. He also declared that The Fiend is gone and The Fiend is no more. The lights then went out and Orton rolled to the floor to prepare for a fight, because it was also the same sort of lights going out as when The Fiend arrived. So for a second, I was a bit concerned, because for a second I thought, oh my gosh, they've done this huge angle at TLC where The Fiend is burnt alive and he's going to appear on Monday Night Raw, and it's going to be, why would you do that? Why would you do that? But it wasn't that, because when the lights came back on, there was a reddish purple light and there was some lingering fog as Alexa Bliss appeared on her swing in the ring. She asked Randy Orton if he was expecting someone else and said that he, referring to The Fiend of course, built this playground for her. She joked that The Fiend could be in a tanning salon because he was looking kind of pale. He could be at the beach because he was trying to avoid sunburn, or he could be at his favourite restaurant enjoying a barbecue. All these references to burns and burn puns. She then went on to add that it was almost like The Fiend was absorbed into the match when Orton lit him on fire. She also said that he is at home now, but if he ever leaves, he might come to Alexa's playground, and if he does appear, it'll be unlike anything we've ever seen before. That's when the lights went back to black as Alexa Bliss stared at Orton. The lights came back up, and there was no sign of Alexa Bliss or Randy Orton. So, of course, Alexa Bliss is back. I don't know if this is a tease that... Some people have speculated that this is a tease that there's going to be a change to The Fiend in terms of his character on Raw whenever he returns. I don't know if that's the case. I just felt it was more of a hint that he's going to return. The Fiend, it's very similar and reminiscent of The Undertaker. How many times has The Undertaker been burnt alive, attempted to be killed by Randy Orton several times, but a variety of people, buried alive, you name it. And every time The Undertaker comes back, bigger, stronger, and badder than ever. I think it's exactly going to be the same thing with The Fiend. Eventually, when The Fiend returns, he'll have this grand entrance. He might even rise out of the mat with fire behind him, and he'll go after Randy Orton, and it'll be a fantastic moment. So I thought it would probably, I feel like it would probably be the same thing as that. If they play their cards right, WWE, this is what I said yesterday, if they play their cards right, this could be really a great moment, a memorable moment, and a sort of iconic moment on Monday Night Raw. It could be a lot of fun. So I think they're playing it right. For a second there, they had me very worried, because I thought for a second, oh no, they're going to return The Fiend 24 hours after being set on fire. They didn't. Alexa Bliss is back, so she was obviously on vacation and quarantine. She filmed a movie as well, filmed a movie, so that's why she was away. So it's great to see Alexa Bliss back. Again, when I speak about Monday Night Raw, this was really, for me, the only redeemable thing last night that I really enjoyed, that I thought was must-see. It did have a recap package beforehand, because you need to for WWE. But I thought it was the only thing that really gripped me and I thought was compelling content. Apart from that, on a 3-hour show, it was just very, once again, boring stuff. But interesting development. And like I said, when The Fiend returns, it's going to be something really, really special, just like Alexa Bliss said. Now let's move on to NXT news, because obviously recently we've heard these reports of a variety of NXT shows that are in development. We've heard about NXT India. We've heard about NXT for NXT, sort of an NXT minor league system. But now there's talks of an NXT Lucha Libre series coming to WWE. Now, it was previously reported that WWE had been planning to create a new show, which would be apparently an NXT minor league system. But now this is also being reported by Wrestling Inc. They have reported that the company has also been discussing a Mexican Lucha Libre series, which would be an NXT Mexico of sorts. Now, the show will reportedly air in the USA. WWE has spoken with a few people about running the project, but it's very early on in the planning stages. One of the names being considered as a consultant on the project is Chavo Guerrero. Chavo was an agent for Lucha Underground and was very involved with the promotion. He also was a producer for the Glow series, a stunt coordinator. He does a lot of producing right now. One source has compared the project to WCW Telemundo Festival de Lucha pilot that was taped in Waco, Texas, in January 27, 1999. That, of course, never aired, but it was added to the Hidden Gem section of the WWE Network last year. Of course, this is the latest country that WWE is looking to get into when it comes to NXT. At this point, how many NXTs have we heard? I mentioned NXT India, the NXT minor league system. There have been talks for ages about NXT Japan, NXT Canada. We already have NXT UK. This plan of international expansion when it comes to NXT has been the plan for a long, long time. with the current climate the way that it is, I think it's a long way off. The reports notes that it's in the early stages of development, so I don't expect us hear or see anything about this for a while. I mean, it might never happen. How many times have we heard with these things about an NXT territory in a variety of places? Germany was another one that I heard, or Austria. There have been a variety of NXT reports of going into other countries, and I'm sure that Triple H and WWE want to do that. Currently, right now, I mean, internationals travel as it is, let alone filming a show that might be set in that other country. I don't know. The idea is a great idea. Whether or not they can do it, I don't know. But it's typical WWE, isn't it, in the sense that they see a promotion like Lucha Underground, which of course isn't around now. Of course, there have been reports that there isn't going to be any more seasons of Lucha Underground, which is a shame. But they see something like that and they go, "Why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? We can do the same thing. We can do WWE Underground, well, Raw Underground, right? But we can do the same. We'll do NXT Mexico. We'll do NXT Lucha Libre." And they have these ideas. I don't want to poo-poo them before they've actually happened. But to say that I wouldn't be optimistic that it would go well, I mean, the Cruiserweight tournament was great. And look at the Cruiserweight division now on 205 Live. So I don't know, but it's interesting. It's another story. It's another country for NXT. Whether or not it happens, of course, we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on and let's talk about a Raw superstar. Let's talk about Ricochet, because Ricochet has teased joining Retribution. Now, last night on Monday Night Raw, Ricochet suffered yet another defeat to Retribution member T-Bar on Monday Night Raw after back-to-back losses to Mace and Slapjack over the past few weeks. Ricochet also lost to Retribution leader Mustafa Ali last month, and after the match, T-Bar cut a promo and repeated that Retribution was an ally of Ricochet and want to help guide him in the right direction. Now, on last night's episode of Raw Talk, Ricochet was asked by co-host Charlie Caruso and R-Truth if he was finally willing to join up with the Vigilante stable after rejecting several offers to align himself with Retribution. This is what Ricochet had to say, quote, "If you asked me that question even a week ago, I would have confidently said no. But now I have to sit and think about it. I have to figure out what it is within myself that makes me continue to fail." He continued, "I couldn't hold the US title for even a few weeks. I couldn't touch Brock Lesnar, and I then kept losing to the Hurt Business and now Retribution. Something's got to change. I don't know what it is. I have to figure it out. If I stay the same and someone is always looking down at me, I'm just looking at the lights every night." Now, the former WWE US champion admitted that his recent losses have left him angry and upset, and he needs to resurrect his WWE career quickly. He said, quote, "At the end of the day, I want to get up here and say that it's just another bump in the road, but honestly, I can't. The truth is, I'm angry and upset every time I seem to fight, and regardless of how hard I fight, I end up in the same way every single time." I would be totally transparent here and honest. I really don't care. I really don't care about this Retribution angle. It's really jumped the shark. WWE had an opportunity to do something unique and special. They absolutely buried it into the ground with the losses, the bad names, the bad promos, the masks, you name it. They just got this so wrong. And it's just evident of WWE's just inability to book a hot angle at the moment. So I really don't care about that. Ricochet, I empathize and I sympathize with him, because this is a guy that, once again, talk about being booked badly. Ricochet, I mean, he mentioned it in his promo on Raw Talk there, that he couldn't hold the US title for not very long. He absolutely got destroyed in Brock Lesnar in about a minute. He then lost to the Hurt Business all of this year, and now is losing all the time to Retribution. How on earth is that building a star? How on earth is that building a star? You build a star by having him win, and then win again. This is a guy that's gimmick was meant to be that he's a superhero, right? He's a real-life superhero. Well, the real-life superhero does not have the best win-loss record, and the real-life superhero is losing every single week. I don't think Batman or Superman gets destroyed every single time in the comics. I'm pretty sure eventually they win in the end most times. So this idea that Ricochet is a superhero is laughable. When it comes to this Retribution Ricochet storyline, again, no offense to him, I just don't care, and I don't think most audiences around the world watching Raw, not many of us, but I don't think many people watching really do care, because these are two characters on the show and two gimmicks on the show that we've been conditioned not to care about because they've lost over and over again. So, will he join? I doubt it. If he does, great. Maybe he might win a match, but if he's joining a faction that's losing all the time, I don't see how that helps him either. Let's talk about SmackDown and the rating they got on FS1. Now, I know this is a little bit behind at this point, but SmackDown actually did quite a decent rating on last Friday night, considering it was on FS1. So Friday's WWE TLC Go Home edition of SmackDown featuring the final build for Sunday's pay-per-view, drew an average of 1.030 million live viewers on FS1. This is according to ShowBuzz Daily. Now, the final number is down, of course, from last week's final SmackDown viewership of 2.130 million live viewers. That was, of course, on Fox on broadcast TV in comparison to FS1 on cable. However, the important thing to note here is that this is actually up 17% from the last SmackDown episode to air on FS1, which was the October 23 show. That episode drew 881,000 live viewers with a 0.25 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic. Friday's SmackDown drew a 0.30 rating in that same key demographic, ranking number 5 for the night in the cable top 150 and number 28 in viewership for that night. Now, obviously, the ratings from the week prior are kind of irrelevant as the show aired on network TV, but comparison to the last episode that they had on FS1, considering that it's up 17%, in December, in a notoriously difficult to draw month, in the holiday period, you have to consider that a thumbs up for WWE. And once again, it goes to show that the narrative of, well, it's December and it's the end of the year and we're going to look to 2021 when it comes to Monday Night Raw just isn't the case. If you deliver a good show that is worth watching, that is must-see, people will follow it, people will watch it. Now, obviously, it didn't draw the same amount of numbers as Raw on USA Network, and I don't think anyone expected that. But over 1 million live viewers for FS1 on Friday, that's very, very good for SmackDown. And it just goes to show, once again, if you deliver a good show, people will watch. That is the difference right now between SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. Raw is a bad show. It's not must-see. People do not care to watch it. SmackDown is a good show. It is must-see, and people do want to watch it. And you have to watch it because you might miss something. That is the difference between Raw and SmackDown right now. Good show, bad show. That is the prime difference between those two shows right now. That is it. And the ratings reflect that. The ratings absolutely reflect that. So I wanted to mention that briefly. And finally, a bit of sad news here, that former NFL player and WCW star Kevin Green has passed away. Pro Football Hall of Famer and former WCW star Kevin Green has passed away at the age of 58. Now, no cause of death has been announced as of writing and recording right now, but NFL.com reports that Green passed away earlier yesterday. Green played 15 seasons in the NFL and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2016. He spent time with the Los Angeles Rams, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Carolina Panthers. He also coached several seasons with the Green Bay Packers and New York Jets. But he's also known to pro wrestling fans for his runs in WCW. He teamed with the Four Horsemen and former NFL player Steve Mongo McMichael for his WCW debut, losing to WWE Hall of Famers Ric Flair and Arn Anderson at the Great American Bash in 1996. He then feuded with Mongo after he joined the Horsemen. Green later teamed with WWE Hall of Famers Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper to defeat NWO in six-man action at WCW Slamboree in 1997. WWE have also issued the following statement on Green's passing. WWE is saddened to learn that Kevin Green passed away at the age of 58. Near the end of a career as one of the NFL's most feared pass rushers, Green entered the squared circle for WCW. Upon his arrival, Green teamed with fellow NFL player Steve McMichael and would go on to share the ring with some of the biggest names in sports entertainment. The Pro Football Hall of Famer teamed with Roddy Piper and Ric Flair against Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Six in a victory at Slamboree in May of 1997. In his last run with WCW, Green teamed with Goldberg against NWO Black and White. WWE extends its condolences to Green's family and friends. And likewise here, we can extend the condolences to the family and friends of Kevin Green. It's obviously sad, always very, very sad to lose. Anyone involved in the pro wrestling world is always very sad, and 2020, I'll be glad when this year is over, I tell you that. But it's very sad, and we wish the best to all of his friends and family. But of course, as always, with all of these news stories, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts about the news stories that we've presented today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, all that fun stuff here on the channel. So get involved with the community, share your opinion. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button. It really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.